Hello, hello. I just want to welcome everybody to the live stream, and I hope you're having a very good hump day. Let me take a few minutes while we're waiting for everybody to come on to share this out. I have all my little index cards lined up at the bottom of my screen here and blocking all the share buttons and stuff. So how is everybody's week? I know my week can use a lot more levity, to use a phrase my friend has been saying recently. It's been a rough week emotionally. Physically, the way things are flowing, it's been oddly flowing. It's been flowing, but it's not been flowing in a way that, of course, I would like to see it. But then, there's my whole expectations of things. We've been doing some house hunting this past month, and we were looking at a house, and the day we went with the realtor, it came up as off the market. The owner had just taken it off the market. That was it. He didn't want to see any more buyers. And a week later, like to the day and time, a week later, it was back on the market, and we were there again with the realtor, and we actually were able to go inside this time. And the house wasn't quite what we expected. So there was that buildup of, I think, I really do want to see this house. I have this feeling about it, but so at this point we're still not sure if it's even a real good possibility, a real good investment. But so that's what I mean by oddly flowing. The opportunity came back around in a very synchronistic way, and yet it still wasn't quite right. So this month of September, this integration month, I think has a lot of surprises and fine-tuning in store for all of us. I know I am finally coming off my cold. I only have a little bit of a cough right now, and my energy is just picking back up, and I can only hope that it's picking back up for you too. So we are all shared out to Facebook land, and I will get into the topic for today. And the topic for today is we're going to bust 3 myths about being fierce and being sensitive, being that whole peaceful warrior. Because in my work, and this has been coming through just so much lately, that as light workers and as sensitives, we put our feelings about how things are supposed to feel, how they should feel, before the reality of how it is right now. We're so attuned to the potential that something can be, that we tend to get ruffled and upset and feel like we have to stop what we're doing. This is a stop sign, because things don't feel quite right, or they didn't come through the way we expected the first time, like this whole house thing for me. And what's been coming through this week as I'm doing a lot more writing about the fiercely sensitive topics is that we really have issues with conflict when things appear to be something other than how we think they should be, how we would like them to be, how we want them to be, how we see their potential, and get this sense of wrongness, and we don't know what to do. And so myth number 1 about being sensitive and still being that fierce, kind of peaceful, light-working warrior is that standing up for yourself, your rights, your right to express yourself and your feelings, it doesn't have to be a battle. We believe it has to be a battle at first, because we're having this knee-jerk reaction to this wrongness. oh no, I'm not being able to get myself out there. Somebody has misunderstood me. They took that all the wrong way. That person's crazy. We're having this knee-jerk reaction to things not flowing harmoniously, because I think that's part of being an intuitive, and part of being an empath is we have this like radar detection, in a sense, for harmony and for flow. As part of our whole bigger gift of being so connected to soul and source, that when things are not flowing with source and with intuition and with divine guidance, we're like, something went wrong and I don't know what it is, because I was just trying to be me. And that's fine, but it doesn't have to be a battle. And we have to be able to pick our battles, because we can't fight darkness with darkness. It only creates more darkness. We shouldn't even be fighting darkness. And the minute we come to that point of, what just happened? How is there a misunderstanding here? Where did things go wrong? Is the minute we should stop and come back and ask guidance, like, what needs to be said here? Because obviously, and this is point number 2, obviously, there is some kind of conflict here, and it seems external. I thought I was in flow, but now somebody else said something that made me think I'm not in flow. The whole thing is, most times conflict isn't really external. And I know that might sound very out there and very esoteric and too woo-woo for some people, but this is just where I am with this, and this is part of what I do teach. Being fierce is not about the external world. It's not about standing up and taking the stands and just being out there and saying whatever needs to be said, because however it comes. That's not about really expressing our inner truth, because the fierceness needs to be inside of us. It needs to come from inside of us, and not from our sense of insecurity, not from our sense of wanting to people please, and not from our sense of wanting to correct or justify or diminish anyone else, because that's all ego talking. That's all your fear and your insecurity. So you go and you jump in and you want to do this verbal battle with somebody on or offline, because all of a sudden you don't know why there's misunderstanding. You don't know what they could believe, because they obviously do not see your point. Well, you know what? This is a boundary issue as well. What they think and believe isn't really any of our business. All we ever could control is our light, our truth, and our expression of our truth. Our sole job here is to tend our light, not tend the light of everyone else around us. And when we try and do that, we're trying to control everybody else's free will. And I'm not saying I am not guilty of that either. And I'm not saying it's something that's very easy to do. It's something we have to grow. We have to learn to stand for something more than just, wait, what do you mean? We have to stand for something more powerful. We have to stand for love. We have to stand for bringing the harmony, even if we still feel a little insecure because somebody's misunderstanding us. And the last myth I want to bust here, number 3, is that conflict is bad. And I think we all get so freaked out when it happens. We have this knee-jerk reaction of having to justify ourselves, coming from this sense of lack How did I get misunderstood? Why am I being attacked for saying what I want to say? But it's not about you, as you are right now. And it's not about them or their opinions, because that's all it is. They have an opinion and you have an opinion. They might be more aggressive about it than you are, but you be you and let them be them. People will see the difference. But conflict isn't bad because it's how we grow. In order to stand for something more, in order to stand for more love, we have to keep putting ourselves in the trenches. We have to keep putting ourselves out there just a little bit so that we can learn, so that we can practice just standing in our light and owning what we do love, what does matter to us, and what we do believe and feel. I hope that feels good. I was trying to approach this from a very compassionate level because this is something we all do. We don't always realize we're adding to the drama and the chaos and the negativity of a situation when we're coming from the place of having to justify ourselves. Because being right feels good, at least on a very ego and a very base instinctual level, it feels good. And sometimes we don't know how to break that pattern within us. But this is why conflict isn't bad. And this is why we need to put ourselves through the paces of learning to be better through conflict, not in spite of it. To embrace our own ability to change and grow and evolve. And even change our mind. Okay, I don't see anybody on, but I do notice I have been chunking up a little bit, so I don't even know if my video quality is good on this one today, and I'm sorry if it isn't. I am plugged in, but it is a rainy day here, and I know there's been some solar flares. I don't know. I am not an internet connection expert. I can do WordPress. I can put things on the internet. I can film videos, but I am not an internet expert. And sometimes just coming from that place of this is what I know because this is what I know is perhaps the most powerful expression of our truth and light there is, without having to put titles behind it, without having to put, I read so-and-so's teachings on this. Be you. Just tell the world what you know because you lived it and because you are trying to grow and to grow your light. All right, now I do have a big announcement, and it does all follow into this because this is all really teaching light workers and teaching people who are coming into their light how to keep their vibration and how to rise as a light worker. Because it's one thing to at first realize that you're a light worker and you have some spiritual gifts, you're intuitive, and you're just getting your footing with that. And then you dive into all these communities and you're not sure who says what and what's right and what's wrong and what's going to work for you and what's not going to work for you. And I think a lot of times we get stuck, and we get stuck in that position for a long time. And I think it even shakes our confidence because we're going into this community, this greater community, not any one like Facebook group or anything. I'm not even talking about that. We go into this community hoping that there is a teacher, a guru, somebody who is going to save us. That's not what this path is about. This path is about learning to stand in your own light, about coming into your own authority, your own truth, and your own power. This isn't about finding a guru. This is about being your own guru, learning to trust yourself and your intuition and what you feel and sense. And if you are feeling called to rise in that way, I am offering a intuitive boot camp. It is a 5-day boot camp, not a 4-day boot camp, a 5-day boot camp. And it starts on September 25th. And I'm going to drop the link here in a second for the sign up for that boot camp. But this is a full week where you get to ask all your burning questions in my free group about what it means to be intuitive, about how to improve your intuitive flow, about how to interpret what the signs and symbols and omens and repeating numbers that you see, what it all means. So if you want to discover more about your intuitive process, and if you want to learn how to begin to raise vibe more consistently, to grow and to stand for that something more that I was just talking about, and if you want to come into a deeper trust and confidence with your intuitive ability and the guidance that is coming through you, then join the challenge, click the link. There's going to be some free goodies attached to this. I haven't gotten them all nailed down yet, but this is going to be a fun 5-day thing. There's only going to be 3 canned lessons, and I'm going to be providing a lot of support and live streams in the free group as we go through the challenge. And there's very, very little homework, very, very little, because this is more about your experience and learning to trust yourself than it is learning everything that Lindsay has to say. That sounds good, doesn't it? All right. And if you are in my Thriving and Free Intuitives and Empaths group, I will see you on Friday for a cards and chat. And if you're not in that group already, join so you can watch that. And if you don't want to do that even, I'll see you here again on my page, my business page on Monday with the Stars and Cards report. Have a beautiful weekend.